Hello and welcome to In Business Talks 2, a weekly podcast about people who work together as a couple. Learn the secrets of business partnerships, the benefits and pitfalls of working together, be it husband and wife, father and son, mother and daughter, friends, relatives or any other combination of business partnerships. We are your hosts, Tracy and Ian Earle, founders of In Business, a networking and business support community. And together we are In Business.
As well as speaking with other couples, we'll let you know of any useful business apps and websites out there that our members have come across and shared with us in our regular weekly online meetings. Plus, we'll tell you about our special bonus episode coming up this Friday, our Friday Fix. So be sure to listen all the way through to the end to find out more. So without further ado, let's crack on with In Business Talks 2. Okay, so we'll start by welcome to. Do you know, guys? I'll start again. I've got this habit of clapping. I can't help myself.
I'm going to tie his hands behind his back.
Mum does that when we're recording. It's terrible. She'll be clapping along as she's getting ready.
I'll start that one again without the clap this time. I've lost it. Hello, welcome to Sharon and Declan for this week's episode of In Business Talks 2. It's a mother and son combination, so we're looking forward to having a chat with you guys and digging a bit deep and finding out about your working relationship, if that's okay.
Oh, Pandora's box, that.
Yeah, I know. Do you want to just start by telling us a little bit about your business?
All right. I was going to say there's probably going to be a lot of interrupting each other in this.
We try not to. We try to have that social etiquette, but yeah, when you mother and son, it's a bit different.
Yeah. Don't worry, we can edit.
You're all right.
We're the co-founders of a business called The Digital Gene. Primarily, we are a web design, e-commerce, and bespoke software development company. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. We call ourselves a 21st century family business. You know, family going into tech and digital and all those different things. I don't know if you want to add anything, Mum.
No, you always put it very succinctly.
Lovely, great. And how long has the Digital Gene been going?
Well, it's had a big pivot, actually. We're about to come to the end of our third year. The first year or so, the business was slightly different. We were deciding, I've been in the tech digital industry for quite a long time. And so I've been around various iterations of, the different things that I do and stuff that I enjoy. So when we first started the business, we weren't really sure what that offer was going to be. And we started off, we were called the Social Gene because we thought that we were going to offer social media management and content marketing and that type of thing. And then we started getting asked for other things, which we obviously got involved with. And then I think, led by me, obviously with my background in the industry, I sort of said, I think I know where my love lies and, where I can offer and bring most to the business. And that was in the creative and the web development side. And so we started to do more of that. And we worked with a really talented developer that I'd known for several years. And the business just sort of pivoted naturally. And we asked this developer friend if he would be interested in coming on board with us. And so we talked about that quite a bit in 2019, which was our second year of trading. So then we decided that he would come on board. He would merge his business with us. And so at the beginning of 2020, we changed our name to The Digital Gene. And then just before lockdown, we were about to merge on the start of our third year, which was the 1st of April. And so all the advice we were getting is, whoa, hold on, don't merge two businesses at this point in time. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Clearly, none of us knew, did we? But we'd sort of been building up to that for 6 or 7 months. And we were like, no, we still need to do this. We still need to do it. And so we did.
And you're glad you did then? It's worked out well then, hasn't it? Taking the gamble and doing it.
Best decision. In those 3 short years, it's been the best decision that we've made, hasn't it, Dex?
And I think it was good because we the first year we did just kind of test the water, and we actually thought, we worked out if we did want to work together and see if we were compatible in that way. We were kind of just following what's our first few clients wanted from us. Probably in the second year, we then decided, no, let's take this seriously. We want to move this forward with the rebrand and everything. And I think now we've kind of, probably in the last year, we've really kind of honed in what our identity is and what our core services are.
It was April 2018 that I left my full-time job. Prior to that, we've been doing, the social media management and different digital requests for people, I guess, as a side gig for me, anyway.
So whose idea was it then to actually go into business together? What prompted that?
It was a really, not unusual, but it was quite a long journey to that too, wasn't it?
Well, I think mum's always been quite entrepreneurial. Like, I've kind of watched mum have businesses as I've grown up. And I think from my side, I was really disenfranchised after uni. I went and did a degree that I thought was going to be what I really wanted to do with my life. I did a zoology degree, and then I just didn't really enjoy it and didn't see myself pursuing a career in it. So I was at home, moved back home, kind of doing little bits of jobs, and mum was kind of not really satisfied in the current role that she'd had, and had loved working for herself in the past before. And we kind of just trialed it, to be honest. I don't actually remember the moment where we said, shall we go into business together? I don't know if you do, Mum.
To cut a long story short, I'd actually lost one of my businesses, and it wasn't a very good time for us as a family. When anybody loses a business and you lose everything that's connected with that, it was hard going. So I'd actually gone back out into the job marketplace, and I'd actually gone down. My background primarily up to that time was e-commerce. No e-commerce jobs of any significance where we live, so I knew that it was going to be hard to get a job in that field. So I went off to work for a startup in London, and always seems very glamorous getting on the train on a Monday morning going down to London, but it's not. Dex had just gone his first year to uni, and his brother had just gone to sixth form, so my husband was like, well, they can do without you for now. So yeah, he's right. I did that, and then I worked in legal marketing for 3 years. I really enjoyed that job, but I still always had this thing about back working for myself in some form or another. I knew that I thrived as my own boss.
Yeah.
I think once you've had a taste of that, and if you've done it for quite a significant period of time, not to say that you can't be told what to do, it's far from that, but you've still got all of those ideas and how you would do things differently, and it's just a mindset, isn't it?
It is. It's really different running your own business, isn't it? There is a freedom there, isn't there? There's a freedom and there's not a freedom. You're free on one hand, but on the other hand, you work harder and you do seem to do a lot more. You put a lot more effort in somehow, don't you?
You do, and it does take a certain type of person. I mean, it's the old thing where people say it's not for everybody. It's definitely not.
No.
And it's not easy. When people are looking in and they might see that, over the years I've been able to go to the kids' school plays and all of that. But what people don't realise, I still have to do the work regardless of the fact I took an hour or two out in the afternoon.
Yeah.
That's right. But it's that flexibility that it brings you, isn't it?
And you literally cannot buy that flexibility, especially if you've got a growing family.
I mean, I wasn't in the workplace for that long before working for myself, and even now I can't imagine going to work for other people at all. I think I'll always kind of be my own boss, whether it's this business or other businesses in the future. It's just the little things like, if I want to just go for a haircut in the middle of the day, I can just do it, and then I can just work around. It's just all those, as you say, greater flexibility. And
so I'd sort of wanted to be coming back to that, hadn't I? And then you at the time in your last year at uni, not really feeling happy about your degree, and then he just rocked up to me and his dad one night and said, I want to do what Mum does.
I don't remember saying that. I really don't. I know she always says this story, and I'm like,
you did? So we sort of said, and I wasn't sure how serious he was, and obviously he came back home and he went and got a job in a restaurant, didn't you? And I said, well, whilst you're at the restaurant, what we'll do is we'll set up a blog, and I'll show you, how to market it, how to write on the blog, and all the different things, looking after the blog, the maintenance of it. I'll teach you all those different things. And if after a year that you still seem interested and, it's something for you, then we'll consider it. But I'll keep doing my job. You keep doing what you do. And we set up a blog called The Northern Niche, which is still live. We just haven't written on it for a few years.
So he passed the interview then, did he?
He got the job. You know what? He's better than me in so many things. And I think that's what people have liked about when we first started the business up together. the fact that I was somebody, at one end of the spectrum, and Declan's bringing sort of a fresh set of eyes into things. So that when we were looking at projects together, we both had totally different ideas that we could marry together, and they really worked. And I think people really liked that about us, didn't they, Dex?
Yeah.
And so that's where we came. So we eventually, after such a horrendous time losing my business, your dad agreed that he knew his wife was happier back working for herself. And so we started, didn't we? As I said.
So the business was born. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the social gene. But we were just all over the place at the beginning, weren't we?
Yeah.
I think you are when you first start.
Yeah.
All sorts of ideas, but it's, it's until you find that direction that, you start to focus on that one thing that you really, really are good at.
There's one client who was in the legal sector who came to me and said, my website's been great, but I feel as if I'm at a different stage. And obviously you've got the background in the legal industry. I want to know what you can do from that. And that was basically when it started. And I said to Declan, I love all of this. I love all of this because I know how online works. I know the user journey, and marrying that with great design, and SEO was my passion. The fact that people get delivered a website that has none of the basic SEO, embedded into it. And I said, this is just really my passion. And obviously we'd start to do a few projects with Gary.
So do you guys have definite roles then? Do you have certain roles within the business, or do you share it? Is there something, Sharon, that you specialise in, and something, Declan, that you specialise in? Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite defined now, isn't it? Especially since, as I say, merging with our third director's business. So I'm agency lead and I project manage everything that comes in. So I've got to have a handle on everything that's happening. And I'm also responsible for the front end design of our projects. And we have Gary, who's the technical director. He's a software developer and coder, so he builds everything. And then we have Declan, who has pivoted quite a lot, haven't you? Actually, you've pivoted the most.
Yeah, so I'm primarily marketing, sales, and business development. So I'm the one, especially as I moved to Leeds 2 years ago now, and the business was not known here at all. So it was just out networking a lot, growing the business, building relationships, and then more and more I'm focusing on direct sales as well. So.
Didn't you attend one of our networking events first in Leeds? I think we were one of the first you came to, weren't we? If I remember.
Yeah.
Am I making that up? Have I just?
No. You dreamt it. Yeah, I'd say that.
I did a shout out on LinkedIn just before I came here, because I literally, other than my flatmate who I moved down here with, who's one of my best friends, I knew nobody. I remember doing a shout out on LinkedIn and just to asking people for people that are quite well connected in Leeds and surrounding areas, and you guys came up and a few others. And I think your event was probably one of the, maybe even the first one I attended when I was down here.
Yeah, I get the. I think it was. I
think
you're saying it was the first one you'd been to down here. Yeah.
And I can't. Can you believe that's 2 years that I've been here though? Because that's absolutely flown by. I mean, it's more than. I moved here in the February of 2019, so.
So how does it work then between you two? Right? Do you always agree on everything?
Do you know? I had a feeling that might.
Declan, shall we start with you first?
That might cause a ripple.
Absolutely not. But I think a lot of the frustration I think that comes out of us two is me and Mum scarily similar. We are. If she could have made a genetic clone of herself, she practically did. Whilst we do have different age perspective on things which do differ, sometimes we'll both be in the exact same mindset. So if you weren't related, maybe you might have a different mindset from the other person. So if I'm thinking a certain way, Mum will probably be thinking the same way. Instead, sometimes it might be good to have somebody who goes, wait, pull yourself together, it'll be fine. Sometimes we'll both be in the exact same scenario. So that can cause a bit of conflict, and then we just have the generic kind of fallouts you have, but it's just kind of, because we're related as well, we say, which is bad, but if we were actually in a workplace, we would probably have had a HR tribunal or something.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible because of listeners like you. So thank you. We really appreciate your support. Now back to the show.
So how do you deal with it then? Because you haven't got an HR department.
Do you have an intermediary? Like your dad?
No, he's given up as well.
When I used to live at home, Dad couldn't cope with it because it's like he used to think that we were bickering, but we weren't. We were just having a heated conversation. But then the next minute, we always just move past it, and we always say it's over when one of us goes, "Do you want a cup of tea?" Or something really just novel like that. And I remember seeing Dad's face. He used to be like, "You were arguing a second ago." I always, even from a personal perspective, Mum always brought both me and my brother up that we never went to sleep on an argument either. So that kind of stays within the business as well. If we've had a fallout, it's over by the end of the day. Even if we're really, really miffed off at one another, like we will just say something or try and at least say, right, we know we've had a crappy day, we'll move on tomorrow. Don't we?
Yeah.
It is so funny as well because I think even Dad doesn't understand that we're not always mum and son in the business.
Mm.
I mean, he'll sometimes be like, "That's your mum you're talking to," and
Bit of respect.
I won't bat an eyelid. It's not that he's being disrespectful. It's maybe just his tone about something being authoritative. Yeah, your dad's had to learn the hard way, probably.
I never used to swear around my mum, even like when I was probably 18, 19, there was nothing like that. But since we've been in business together, not that we swear at each other, but we're just complete potty mouths around each other. And my dad tries to like say that's not, I don't know, he confuses that as well.
He sometimes goes, "Oh, that's your mum," and I'm like, and I look at him strangely. Then what do you mean? It is funny. I mean, we have one funny story, don't we? When we're at that exhibition.
God, yeah.
We're at an exhibition, and can I tell this bit? Is that okay? You take credit?
Yeah. Who tells it best?
We were at this exhibition, and you know what it's like with family. You argue over just rubbish. You don't actually argue over the big stuff sometimes. You're just arguing over rubbish. And I don't know what triggered this particular one, but we were walking along the rows of this exhibition, you know, with all the stands either side with people trying to say, "Morning to you," that type of thing. Then somebody said good morning and wanted to give us something. And I just remember we turned around, and this is how, this just sums us up. We went through, barred teeth, snarling at each other. And then we just turned around and went to this person, "Morning, hello, how are you?" Like this. And we just absolutely laughed, didn't we, afterwards?
It just kept happening. Like, if we were walking down a full, you know, as they all speak to you, between each person that spoke to us, we were, like, really having a go at each
Still having a go.
You separated the professional from the personal.
We did it really, really speedily then, didn't we, as well?
Yeah. Have you found that being in business has strengthened or changed your relationship, your personal relationship?
We were always really close, but I would probably, now I've been asked that, which I suppose we've not been asked before, have we, Mum? I would say that we have probably grown even stronger together. I feel very defensive for my mum as well. Like, if I will always have her back. She's so passionate about what she does. If it comes across bad, it's like, no, it's just that it's just so passionate. So I always feel a lot more, probably more defensive than I probably ever would have done.
My passion sometimes, when people ask me for my opinion of things, I don't beat about the bush. I tell them like it is. But I also say, but, you know, I've told you all of this, but it's not the end. We can actually help you. And sometimes Declan says to me, "Wow, Mum, you went in hard there." And I said, but sometimes people need that wake-up call, because if you're constantly surrounded by yes people who are telling you great things, and, you know, because maybe we get paid for it, I don't know, and you can't see the wood for the trees. But you know that all comes from a passion of doing what I do for such a long time, don't you?
But I would say in short, I do think our relationship probably has got stronger. Do you?
I couldn't bear to be without you.
Oh,
You're my son, so it's like if you weren't in the business, it's not like you're going to disappear. But
yeah.
I just love having you as my ride or die, as they say. Is that what they call it? I don't know.
So what's the best thing about being in business together then? What would you say the best thing about being in business as a mother and son and son?
We'll ask you individually.
Yeah. What's
Sharon,
what's the best thing about being in business together?
It's just like he said, he has my back and he puts me right as well, because he makes me more self-aware that if I didn't have him, I don't think maybe I wouldn't do enough of that. Do you know what I mean? Like examine myself. So he does definitely make me more self-aware, and I learn loads from him every day. I don't just mean about business. I mean about, him and his brother, especially, even not to do with the business, but more so because I clearly spend a lot more time with Declan, even though it's all on Zoom at the minute. But making me more self-aware and constantly teaching me about the world that, obviously we've had lots of things going on, haven't we, over the last year about Black Lives Matter and all the things that are just in the news now, the things happening to women that, just came off the back of a fabulous day like International Women's Day. And there's always those things. And I always ask him first. He's my go-to on his take of things. Yeah. And he keeps me right. He keeps me right. And I just think, always learning his perspective on things. And I think I said earlier that, our clients like that a lot. The ones that they don't always get to meet now, Declan, as much, because he's not client facing in the sense that he was when we first started up, because he's obviously business development, marketing. So I'm the one that has more interaction with clients once they come on board with projects. So they don't really get to see that dynamic as much. And I think that's why Declan said the podcast was a good idea, because it was still showing people perhaps the reasons why we started the business. And even though there's no longer just the two of us, this is where the ideas came from initially.
Obviously, you must have one main goal, whatever the business is, but do you have things you want to achieve as well as sort of individuals?
Well, we quite often have to think of this, because when I moved to Leeds as a business, we got on the NatWest Accelerator scheme, and quite often they would ask us to do visioning and what do you want, 6, 12, whatever. So although I don't feel like I get any better at the answer each time people ask, but from my perspective, I would just like to continue to grow. My passion comes from the fact that there's still so many businesses out there that do not use digital to its full capacity, and how transformative it can be for people when you do it properly and build it all right. And that is the future. People my age and younger, when they have disposable income and spending power, will just overlook people that don't have digital, like really good up to scratch digital presences. So I'd like to build my own brand, which I hate using, but how I like to help businesses discover digital. And Mum is approaching a big birthday in a few years, and Mum keeps saying,
excuse me.
She's going to work like she's never worked before until that birthday, and then she'll take her foot off the gas. She won't. But I just would like to make an impact.
You have to inform me again as well.
Yeah, like I just want to make an impact and people to know who we are. And I don't want to be a massive agency where we've got huge offices. I'd like to maybe stay quite boutique and small but mighty. And you think, have you heard what the Digital Gene have done? They've only got like 5 or 6 of them, but they're working with some amazing brands. And we're not really into that massive traditional structure of an agency. I'm speaking for Mum there, but I think she feels the same. Do you?
Yeah.
You better check.
Yeah. For each other, we do finish off each other's sentences as well. It's terrible. Yeah, as Declan constantly reminds me of a big birthday coming up in a couple of years. So my sort of goal, once we completed, so we're almost at the first year at the end of this month of 2 businesses merging. So I sort of said, I'm going to keep going and work as hard as I can until I reach that big birthday. And then I'll figure out then what I'm going to do. Because I'm also a blogger as well. So I have a blog that I want to be more involved in, because it's something I'm passionate about, and writing about all sorts of different things on there. And I keep saying I'll just sit in the background and I'll just be blogging away, just keeping an eye on you. That's how I think I'll go. But Declan and the rest of the family know generally that's not how I am. But I don't know. I might literally feel like that's a good idea at the time. I literally don't know. But up until then, the next 2 and a bit years. So it's not as soon as you make out, Declan. It's 2 and a bit. Yeah, but we definitely have goals. I mean, something that Declan instigated as well. So once, as I say, the businesses had merged in April, we got to about August, and you implemented a strategy day, didn't you, for us? We call it our evolution day. So right. we put email notices on. We switch the business down, and we spend a day a month working on the business and what our goals are and what we want to achieve for the next month, the next 3 months, that type of thing. And we found it really useful, especially bringing another director on board, haven't we, to do that?
Before, we probably would have met up in person to do those days, but now with us all being remote and in different locations, we really need to make sure that we've got that kind of strategy in place and we're all on the same page, because it's hard when you're all work and you never actually see each other.
And the other funny thing as well is that obviously I've known Gary for a very long time, but he's, and he knows us both and remembered Declan from being a little one. But obviously working with you both then, as we've both described our personalities and how we interact with each other, then bringing on a third member to actually sit in there and be taking a look at you both, and you're just like, oh. And the calming influence, isn't he, Dex?
Yeah.
We say to him, what do you think, Gary? And he just zens it all down.
Good word.
He is actually a great influence on that, isn't he? Goal planning is really important to us.
And what tip or advice would you have for someone thinking of going into business with their son or daughter or mother or father? It's not don't do it,
and
is
you
it?
Can't say don't do it, Declan. Not with your mum listening anyway.
I thought you were going to say about just going into business generally, so I prepared that answer. When you prepare an answer, then you think, oh no, it's about business. I think just try it, but just be really I think I got more positives than negatives really, so I can't really say, or just be careful of this and be careful of that, because I haven't. I just think you've got to be. It's a really good opportunity to build something with somebody that kind of always will have your back even when you're wrong. There's that initial trust. You know each other. You know how each other's mind works. We always say it's really common when you put proposals out. Sometimes people disappear for a few weeks. We say, oh, they're ghosting you. And we'll say, well, let's not try and get into their headspace, because you can't get into what another person's thinking. They might have something going on in their life or different things. But when you're family, you kind of already know how they're thinking. And I think that's a real positive. So really utilise how comfortable you are with one another. You might not be as comfortable to go to a colleague. Do you think I was wrong there? Or give me some positive feedback. But with me and Mum, we'll say, well, we might not put it that nicely, but we're like, you went a bit strong there, or you've done a bit of a rubbish job, and I just think, really, really utilise that.
I mean, it's nice, if you're appraised for something, or you get some sort of feedback, whether it's good or bad, when you get it from a family member, it's coming from a good place. If they say, if it's something positive and well, actually, when it's positive, you always know with family that it takes a lot for them to say that. So when they do say, you really aced that, or that was brilliant, you've really done a good job, because it takes them a lot to say, oh yeah, I will have it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
And by the same token, they'll be the first to tell you when you've gone wrong, and they'll make a big deal about it, and you'll have a little hissy fit and whatever. So I think that's a really sort of positive take on it. But I guess it's much like, whoever you go into business with, it's going to have its challenges. But I think that when it's a family member, and let's face up to it, you can actually fall out with family members in a big way, can't you? It doesn't mean that that's never going to happen, but I do feel like They're the people who really know and understand you. I mean, we touched on earlier, Tracy, that you said you'd listened to an episode of our podcast. And, I've had a really crappy time with the menopause. And I feel like I open up about that. But obviously, I open up completely to my family about that. And working with Declan, he understands how I'm feeling. If I'm not having a good time, if one of the symptoms is like horrendous anxiety, and he knows, I can say to him, I just can't do that today. And he has my back all the way, and it's just like,
which is good.
Don't worry, it's fine, we'll sort it. And so there's lots of pluses to it.
Sounds like you have a really good working relationship then, which is nice, and it sounds good. It sounds really good, yeah.
And I could kill him sometimes, but then that's that's always going to be.
Well, it's lucky that you're in separate locations at the moment.
Maybe zooming's not a bad thing, Declan, if you're out of the way.
At
least all you can do is push the button and turn you off.
Oh, we've done that before. We've done that. We're gone. Yeah. And then we jump over onto Messenger or something. I'm sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry.
Great stuff.
And guys, we'd just like to say thank you for today. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. It's been a real pleasure talking to you both. We've enjoyed it. Yeah, it's been a good conversation.
And if people want to get in touch with you, can you tell us your website, where we can find you?
Yeah, so follow us both on LinkedIn. So Declan Williams, Sharon Sinclair Williams, connect with us on there. Our business is at The Digital Gene on everything. And if you'd like to listen to our podcast, which is called It's in the Genes, and it is basically me and Mum talking about things that are happening in the world, what it's like working with each other, all those kind of things. That's called It's in the Genes. And as I say, you can just find it on any of your favourite podcasting platforms.
On our website, which is thedigitalgene.co.uk.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And nice to meet you, Sharon, as well. Nice to see you, Sharon.
Yeah, and you finally. It's great. Thanks for having us.
Take care.
Take care. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
So, Tracy, what's our knowledge share for this week?
Our knowledge share this week is called motionmailapp.com, and it creates countdown timers that you can add to your email marketing.
Wow, great share. Get in touch and let us know if you try it and what you think. We'll also put the details in the show notes too.
So we're almost at the end of this week's episode, but before we go, we're excited to tell you about our bonus episode this Friday, the Friday Fix, where we'll be discussing a business-related subject with a fellow business owner who'll be sharing their advice, thoughts or knowledge on a particular topic. This week's episode is by Stephen Spencer of Not Just Travel, and he'll be filling us in on some of the important facts surrounding the travel industry at the moment. So, one not to miss.
Our special guests on next week's podcast are Joanne and Steve Clayton of Data Bubble. We're really looking forward to speaking to them and digging deep into their experiences as a business couple.
Also, if you'd like to join us at one of our online networking meetings, then the link is in the show notes below.
Thanks so much for joining us this week on In Business Talks 2. We hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, all we ask is that you simply tell a friend about the show. We'd really appreciate it. So, until next time, this is Ian and Tracy, and together
we are in business.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.